So, do you want the good news first or the bad news first? I'm gonna start with the bad news because I have way more to say about the good news. The bad news is I cannot answer this question. I cannot tell you what is a good location for a house or for an apartment, and no one else can. The good news is you can figure it out yourself, and I'm gonna share some pointers. So this video is gonna focus on the scenario. I want to buy a house for myself. I want to live there. I don't want to buy something just solely for the purpose of investment. This video is going to be about some subjective and objective points that you should take into account to find the best location for you personally. I will go through the points without many details in the interest of time, but if you would like to have all the points written down, like with bullet points, you can subscribe to my newsletter. I'll be starting a newsletter, and this will be probably newsletter number 1. Location is a personal choice, and its value is different for everyone. And what I mean by this is that something that might be perfect for me might be actually horrible for someone else. So, for example, I personally like living in the south of Tenerife very much. I enjoy it, and it's my first choice. Other people hate the south. I've met people who live in the north and have stated very clearly that they hate the south. When I was living in Berlin, I was living in the city center, and I liked it very much because that's where I wanted to live. But many people who visited me said that the noise was unbearable and they wouldn't live there ever. So yeah, this is what I mean by different choices for everyone. Choosing a location is one of the most vital and unchangeable decisions that you can make in regards to buying any type of property. So I wouldn't expect this to be ready one evening after work. I would give it more time. I would give it weeks or even months sometimes, depending on how much time you have to invest to do all the things that you have to do. But the best result will come from doing this yourself, because you simply have the best interest in doing this right. Other people will never have the same interest as you, and also will never have the same knowledge as you have. So, okay, enough with the philosophy. My strategy in looking for a location focuses again on 2 different types of location. I've mentioned this in other videos as well. You cannot start with nothing and then end up to a neighborhood in 2 steps. That's not really realistic. So I propose starting with the broad location. That means country and region. Like you should decide on a country or a region, and if you cannot decide on one, then decide on 2 or on 3. So I took as an example Spain, and if you take Tenerife, it could be south or north. So start with the research online and look for all the things that would apply to you when you would move there. That is weather, cost of living, cost of buying or renting, salaries, job market, visa arrangements, healthcare, taxes, local laws and regulations for buying property for citizens or for foreigners, depending on your status, accessibility via roads or public transport, travel possibilities, culture, safety, and also, very important, what is that place known for? Like, what is the thing that that place has that's special to just that place? Of course, from all of this, not all of them have the same importance for everyone, so you should make a scale of importance for them as well in your research. So for example, for me, I would say that when I moved to Tenerife, weather, culture, and cost of living were more important, for example, than job market, healthcare, or visa arrangements, right? And for someone else, it could be completely the opposite. It could be that they don't care about the culture, but they really care about healthcare. And that is perfectly fine. Everyone should make their own scale of importance for this. So you can find so much information about this online. Obviously, you're on YouTube, you know the power of YouTube, you know how much information you can find here. Also look on forums like Reddit. There's a lot of conversations going on with people moving to different countries. This should be the first research, the broad research on regions. Once you're clear with some regions for your search, you can move on to the specific location search. that narrows the location down to a city or a neighborhood. As expected, you will research online, you will go into different domains, you will go into more specific domains than the ones you were looking at in the broad location research. This includes, in no particular order, price comparison on areas, property values. You can find this on real estate sites, and I noticed that this goes very much hand in hand with neighborhoods, so that's already like a very big research in itself. And some questions that you should ask yourself at this point are: what is my budget? What is my cost of living budget? How does it fit in that neighborhood? Obviously, some neighborhoods have higher costs than others. Some cities have higher costs than others. Next point, market trends. So that means, what are the average prices? What are the rent prices? What is the property demand and offer? This you can also see on real estate sites. Also, then we go into other things like natural elements comparison. Mountains, sea, forests, dry versus wetland, ravines, and so on. Do you like a landscape which is flat, so like Netherlands, or would you like something more in the likes of the mountains, which are, I guess, north of Spain or south of Spain as well? Then, infrastructures, roads, trains, nearest airport. Is it important for you to have an airport, and how much are you willing to drive to it? That's a really, really big thing. A point which is connected to this is transportation and commute. So how much time are you willing to spend commuting by walking, biking, driving, or taking the train to the nearest supermarket? This opens a whole range of variations of how much are you willing to go by yourself or by bike or by car and so on. And obviously they're not interchangeable. So something that is 20 minutes by car is actually very, very far away to walk. It's not doable by walking, right? Next point, remoteness. So would you like to live in a city? Would you like to live in outskirts of a city, in a village, or completely remote and isolated? Also connected to remoteness, I guess it's local life. So would you like a lively or busy environment, or would you like something more quiet, more remote? And this is also in various degrees depending on the city, the neighborhood, and so on. So it's all connected. Proximity to key amenities, hospitals, supermarkets, and schools. So for example, for me, it's not really important to be next to a hospital. I don't care about schools, but for other people, this would be key. I care very much to be close to a supermarket, and more importantly, I care to be within walking distance of a supermarket. Then I have another very nice point, proximity to free time activities, which are parks, sports venues, or basically anything that you would like to do in your free time. And for this, my preference is that I would like to be in a place where I can either run, swim, or bike. And you would think that this is quite universal, but it isn't. Some places really aren't tailored to any of this, but they have gyms. So for people who like gyms, they would really like those places. Another point is community, or like the life in that area. So is it more like family vibe or more like single people vibe? You know what I mean, right? So there's more kids running around, or there's more single people running around. That's also very different concepts. And for example, in Berlin, you would know that if you would choose Prenzlauer Berg, you would choose family vibes. There's no discussion, right? That's what you choose. Another point is future development. That means what's gonna happen in that area in 20 years, so like very long term. There's three options here. It could either be that area is fully developed, there's nothing else new coming there in the next 10 to 20 years, or that area has restrictions on development, so there's also nothing coming there. Or it could be that that area is in full development. That means there are plans for changing the way it looks and what is actually going to be there in the next 10 to 20 years. That is still happening in a lot of cities, especially in the suburbs where there's place to build. Sometimes it could be like a neighborhood is not that posh or not that popular at the moment, but the plans are that in a few years that area is going to be a full residential area. So the vibe is going to change completely. Yeah, keep in mind. Next one is noise. This is unexpectedly such an important point that gets ignored a lot of times. To give you an example, I don't mind the sound of airplanes, the sound of trains, the sound of dogs barking, and the general buzz of people. However, I do mind very, very much the sound of ambulances, because I used to live in a place in which you could hear an ambulance going by every hour, and it became unbearable, so I don't want to hear that ever again in my life. The next point I'm looking at is pollution. We were walking one evening along the ocean, and there was a big complex with apartments, very fancy, overlooking the ocean. This sounds very good, right? Except right in front of the complex, so between the complex and the ocean, there was a sewage treatment point. That means it was stinking. It was stinking really bad. And I was thinking when we were walking there, can you imagine like buying an apartment with an ocean view and probably spending a lot of money on it, and then you end up having a nice breeze of shit every evening coming by? That's what I mean with pollution. Stuff that stinks. Also, one last point, access to technology. I think this is a no-brainer. We're all on YouTube. We all love the internet. I'm expecting that everyone wants internet these days, but I'm gonna go one step further. So for example, if you're looking at a remote location, you probably won't have fiber there. You have to get satellite internet, and it's just something to keep in mind that there will be more things to set up. I mentioned many things in the video, and there are probably more, but I want to move on to the next step. So a good location for you will be the result of a decision that has been informed on site as well, and not only via internet or secondhand opinions. At this point, it's time to go out there to wherever there might be for you and to do a proper visit. If you like multiple regions, visit all. If you like multiple cities, visit all. Imagine how your life would be there and if it would fit in that context. Imagine the compromises that you would have to do, because no place is perfect, that's for sure. If the compromises are acceptable or not, but don't expect everything to be perfect. There's no place that is 100% perfect. There's always pluses and minuses. In this visit, you should also go with the mindset of, I am a person who lives here. So no tourist pink glasses, but real life transparent glasses. Realistically, I would dedicate at least 1 week to a place that I would want to move to. I think 1 week is reasonable, but it's also 1 week of going there for research. It's not 1 week of going there as a tourist. I am expecting to see everything as a person who lives here. I'm seeing all of this as a resident, yeah? This is a special trip, not a vacation trip. So that's it for today. I hope I gave you some ideas on what to look for and how to approach this and what better questions to ask. If you like this video, I think you would like other videos of mine, so check out the one that's recommended for you from the ones that are made by me. And yeah, of course, let me know if you have any ideas in the comments, and I'll see you soon.